You in charge of the side-by-side right now? Okay. If you're looking at Callie and wondering why is she in the side-by-side while Belly is out running around, I think it's because this is where she can get away from Belly. If you guys notice in the background, these dogs are constantly going at it, and I don't think Belly, as a puppy, ever gets enough of that, but Callie, as a little bit older dog, certainly does. And she's realized that when she gets in here up on the seat that Belly generally will not follow her up here, so I think that's why she does it. Oh, well, I guess we do have an owl in here after all. I've got chores to do today, just like always, and while I'm doing them, I want to talk a little bit about the successes and failures from the previous year and some plans and goals that I have moving into 2024. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. I have upped the feed amount over here at the ranch for the cows. The goal is to give them about 1.5 bales per day, and the way that I do that is by rolling one out into the pasture and then putting one here in the hay feeder every other day. The first day that that bale is in the hay feeder, they just eat as much as they can reach. Ideally, that would be about half, but realistically, they can reach a lot more than half. While we're shooting for 1.5 bales per day, what it really ends up looking more like is almost 2 bales one day and then 1 bale the day after that. So not perfect, but it does average out to 1.5 bales a day. And it seems that almost every time I talk about how I'm limiting the hay that the cows get every day, someone's gonna leave a comment saying, well, why do you do that? I give my cow as much hay as it will eat, and that's what everyone that I know does. And almost every single time somebody says that, if they mention where they're from a state where it's really cold, like Wisconsin or Minnesota or something like that. A decent portion of the calories that the animals consume this time of year are used to keep them warm. And in states where it's freezing or well below freezing on a regular basis, I could see why those cows get free fed. Here in Northern California, we just don't get cold temperatures like that. It's late December as I'm filming this, and it's t-shirt weather. We can occasionally get below freezing temperatures, but they only last for like a couple of hours in the morning, and then the sun comes out and things warm up. So the idea of free feeding cattle it's just not really cost effective to do in this area because they don't need all of that extra hay. Now some people might say, well, why not just give it to them because they like it? Well, there's reasons why you don't do that. If the cattle are over conditioned or too fat basically, then that can lead to dystocia, which is a fancy word for calving trouble, and we want to eliminate that. We want our cows to be in good body condition but not over conditioned. I was looking over my goals for this year and I feel like I fell short on many of them, but it wasn't, you know, because I was just sitting around doing nothing. I just think other things came up that were more pressing and I just didn't really get around to doing some of the things that I had planned on doing. One of those things was getting the Jubilee fixed up. I mean, I did get it torn down, but we really haven't gotten anything put back together yet. I still need to get new pistons and rings for that, and then I think I've got everything that I need to start the reassembly. Obviously, there's still more cleanup and painting to do, but as far as parts go, those are the only things that I'm waiting on. Maybe we'll do a point system as I'm going over all of these goals. So for the Jubilee, I'm giving myself half a point. I did get it torn down pretty well, but I did not get it put back together. I'm down here at the bullpen now because one of my other goals for this year was to get a more permanent water setup here in the bullpen. And I sort of ended that goal by saying at the very least, I wanted to get a faucet in here. Now, as you can see, there is no permanent water setup in here like I have planned. I'd like to just do something here in the corner, but I did get the faucet installed. So again, I'm gonna give myself half a point. Another goal that I had set for myself was rebuilding the loading chute here. And again, this did not happen, but I did make a lot of repairs to it and spruced it up a little bit to sort of limp it along a little bit longer, at least enough to get through this year. And getting this solid gate here on this alleyway is going to be a real help when it comes to loading animals, because that was a big problem area for many years. So again, I did not rebuild this in the way that I intended to, but I did get it fixed up and improved a little bit. So I'll give myself half a point. The next goal, kind of along the same lines, was to replace this alley fence and the south corral fence. Now, I did get the south corral fence replaced, and I did get the alley fence fixed up good enough to where it should be good for a couple more years. So I'll give myself 3/4 of a point for that one. Well, it's starting to rain a little bit. So maybe this will pass. While I'm waiting for it to pass, I got another little job that I need to do. Some of you guys might remember a couple videos ago I showed some trail cam footage from over here on this side of the barn, and mostly I saw cats walking by the camera, but I did also see a rat on there. And I've had my good nature trap set up over where I saw him for the last couple of weeks, and I just haven't been able to catch him. I don't know if he just doesn't like the lure that I'm using or what's going on, but I think I need to try a different approach. So I think I'm gonna move the good nature to another area of the barn, and I'm gonna set up a live trap and see if I can catch this thing. I've got my smaller live trap here. I'm hoping that I just don't catch cats. I think this is hopefully too small for them to want to go into. I know they can go into it, but hopefully they won't want to. And I've got some Christmas cookies with marshmallows on them. I've been told that marshmallows and sweet things like that are a good attractant for rodents. We'll see. Peanut butter is supposed to be good as well. If I don't get any activity in the trap in a couple days, then maybe I'll try putting some peanut butter in there too. But for now, we're just gonna set this up. What I'm gonna do though is I'll lock the trap out so that rodents can go in there and eat and come back out again to try to like build up their confidence, so that when I do hopefully end up catching one, the others aren't afraid to go in there. So if you've never seen a live trap or curious about how they work, they just have a little trap door here on the back, and then you've got a trigger here. This is what activates it. So we would put our bait up here in the front, and then when they walk to the front of the trap, they would step on this, and then the door closes on them. That looks like a good one. We'll put that up there and see what happens. I'm gonna put it right here because I think I saw the rat come out of this hole. Well, he might live down there for all I know. So we'll put it right here and hopefully he'll find it. That's my setup. Hopefully we see something cool. Lorraine's letting up a little bit, enough for me to walk over here and talk about one of my other goals that I had set for this year, and that was to do something with this area next to the building here where I've got all the trailers parked now. My original idea was to bring gravel in here and make this like a big turnaround, and obviously that did not happen. And along with that was to find some sort of another purpose for this building. I suppose I could get into all the whys, why none of this happened, but yeah, we made absolutely zero progress on either one of these two goals, and we'll just leave it at that. So I think that's pretty much it for the goals that I set for myself for 2023. If you guys remember in that video, I also had my wife set some goals for herself, so we'll check in with her towards the end of this video, see how she did and what she's got on tap for next year. But enough living in the past, let's start talking about the future. I think the primary thing on my to-do list for this coming year is to get these portable panels out of the working corral here and get some sort of a permanent setup put in. These are just flimsy, really low quality panels, and they should not be used in this configuration. If a cow ever decides to push on these, or heaven forbid tries to jump over one, it is going to end badly. So these have got to go. They were never intended to be a long-term setup. You guys know how it goes. Sometimes those things end up being long-term setups, but I think this is the year that we're gonna do this right. And while I'm over here in the working corral, I feel like this is where a lot of the improvements this year are going to happen. You guys have heard me talk before about some of the issues that I have with this old squeeze chute, and a goal this year is to get these issues taken care of. And the last big thing that I'm thinking here in the working corral is this loading alley. In fact, this was a goal for this year, for 23. It didn't happen, and I think 24 is the year that we can finally check this off the list. My next goal for the coming year brings me out here into the pasture, and that is to build a weed wiper to deal with this smut grass. As you look across the backfield here, you can see everywhere that there is a clump is that smut grass. It's just been mowed off, and you can see how prevalent it is out here. So the plan is to build a weed wiper. I've kind of settled on a 3-point mounted design where the roller itself is independently driven as opposed to being ground driven like the ones that I have seen. I just think that is gonna be the best way to do this. I like the independent drive on the roller because if you get in a really heavy spot, you could slow the tractor down and still get your same number of like wipes per minute, if we can just sort of invent that term right now. So that's the plan. I've pretty well got it worked out how I'm gonna build this. It's just a matter of acquiring the materials and getting it done. My last goal for the upcoming year is to pour a decent sized slab here in the pig pen that I can put the feeder on, and I want to build them a new feeder. When I first started putting pigs in here, it was kind of a temporary setup, and now I've decided that this is where I prefer to raise them. So it's time to make some more permanent improvements to sort of facilitate that and make it easier. This is a lot like it was last year. Every year when I make my video about my goals for the following year, I always check in with my wife to see what her goals are as well. So, last year you had several goals. Do you remember what they were?
To get a cricket.
That was one.
And to make cats.
Just and 2 goals.
Something about the garden?
Maybe something about the garden, maybe something about preserving.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I really did accomplish that goal. Obviously, there's always room for improvement. I think we literally say that every year. Mm-hmm. But with the garden, I made like a lot of soup. I was more creative, I feel like, this year with how I preserve things. I just didn't cut them up and freeze it.
Preserving food from the garden, definitely. You did better. And the first thing you said you wanted to get, well, you were kind of on the fence about getting a cricket. And you did get one. Spoiler alert.
So
tell us more.
So my friend actually saw one of our videos and heard me say that, and she wasn't using hers, so she just like lent me hers. So I have been making some things with that. If you're my family, please close your eyes right now. So thankfully I actually didn't purchase one because I probably would have put a sledgehammer through it at this point, but because it's borrowed, I'm treating it better. This has a little crease in it, but I'm getting better.
And the last goal that you had set for this year was getting hats made. Pretty safe to say that you did a lot better with your goal list than I did with mine. So
pretty typical.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Don't color Callie. Don't color Callie. And don't color the walls. What do you have in store for 2024?
Well, I'm just planting the seed for this. Maybe just take some time to think about it. But I'd really like to get a dairy cow so that we can have fresh, raw milk.
And who's going to milk the cow every day? Twice a day? At least, yeah, I think twice a day. You?
No. I'm not milking it.
Huh, okay. So a milk cow is what you think you want, huh?
Do you want a milk cow?
Huh?
Yeah?
Cow.
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 What about you? Milk cow? You want one?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. You gotta milk it twice a day, I want to say.
I don't like to milk, so I don't want a milk cow.
This girl, she gets it. So basically what she's saying is her goal is to make me miserable.
Always.
Well, it looks like I've got a big year ahead of me, and maybe we're getting a milk cow. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again
On Farmer Tyler.
I want to say it.
Right.
Thanks for hanging out with me, guys, and I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.
Farmer
Huh?
Tyler